We live our lives by a ticking clock. We wake up to alarms, count the days, celebrate birthdays, and mark the passing of years. But have you ever stopped to wonder, what is a year? Why is it the length it is? And is time even real?
Time.
It governs everything we do, yet it remains one of the greatest mysteries of the universe. We measure it, we feel its passage. But does time truly exist outside of our perception? Let's break it down. Part 1. What is a year? The reason our year is 365 days long is straightforward. It's how long it takes for Earth to complete one full orbit around the Sun. But it's not exactly 365 days. It's 365.2422 days, which is why we have a leap year every 4 years, to make up for that tiny extra fraction of time. Different planets have different years. A year on Mercury? Just 88 days. On Neptune? A staggering 165 Earth years. So, what does that tell us? Time, at least as we measure it, isn't universal. It's local, dictated by our cosmic dance around the sun. Part 2. Time, a human construct? If a year is based on Earth's orbit, what about hours, minutes, seconds? We divided a day into 24 hours because the ancient Egyptians used base 12 and base 60 counting systems. Ever wonder why clocks have 60 minutes and seconds instead of a more intuitive system like 100? That's because of Babylonian mathematics, which was sexagesimal, based on 60. We inherited their method and never questioned it. But here's where things get really strange. Time, as we experience it, is a byproduct of human perception. Have you noticed that time flies when you're having fun and drags when you're bored? That's because our brain is not a perfect clock. It's an interpreter of experiences. Part 3. Is time even real? Here's where physics throws a curveball. Einstein's theory of relativity tells us that time is not constant, it's relative. If you were moving at the speed of light, time for you would slow down compared to someone on Earth. Clocks on GPS satellites literally tick at a different rate than those on the ground due to gravitational time dilation. So, what does this mean? Time isn't something that flows in one direction. It's a dimension much like space. And just as we move through space, we move through time, but at different rates depending on our motion and gravity. So, is time real? In one sense, yes, it's how we make sense of change. But in another sense, it's not as fundamental as we think. What we call time is deeply tied to motion, gravity, and even our own minds. Maybe time isn't something we pass through, but rather something we create. Next time you check the clock, remember, it's not just telling you the time. It's telling you a story of motion, of perception, and of the vast, mysterious universe we call home.